Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and we are here to talk about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written in the 6th century BC, around 500, between 500 and 600 BC. I love the text of the Tao. The Tao helps us live a more reasonable life. And when we can use it as an oracle, when we don't try and just tackle the whole thing, but when we can focus on individual verses, individual text, we can often get insights as to the problems that we are currently facing. Not that we face problems, but challenges. You know, when we're aligned, when our heart is open and we're ready to receive and we're open to receive, there's so much that's here. I have a random number generator. I'm going to pick number 50 through the random number generator. I just clicked it and it gave me a number. I'm going to look at number 50 today. I don't know what 50 is. There's nothing absolutely kind of focused on my life at this moment. No real baseline. Last night I worked at a theater doing front of house stuff, and what I realized is that one of the things that I carry with me is, I don't want to do a bad job. I don't want to be seen as irresponsible. I don't want to be seen as not qualified for something. And this, I think, when I feel that, I go to, that's about me competing with my older sister, right? She's 11 months older than me. I'm a second born. So you guys that have been following me for a while may know about my birth order kind of thoughts, right? Firstborn, secondborn. I'm the second born. My sister had less relationships than I had, so relationships are more important to me. She wants to do good. She wants to go out in the world and do good, succeed in a way that my father would be happy, like the head of household. Turns out that my head of household was my dad. Everything was done for him, and she wants to be that way. And it's just very classic. Every individual and every family and every household is going to be slightly different because of what is expressed, right? So if you're a firstborn in a head of household or in a household in which the head of household was someone who was manipulative, you might embrace manipulation. If you were in a household in which you're head of household and you were a firstborn and the head of household was, always working, you might find yourself always working. Now, that's not like it all has to be rained down. It all has to be, understood from an individual perspective. So you can't make real general assumptions, but this is where you start, right? And so like the issues that kind of came up last night were like, I'm being misunderstood. What I'm contributing is being misunderstood. And there's like that little tinge of, am I going to get in trouble? Now, this isn't sending me into a tizzy, and it's not something that I think about much. It's not something that I concern myself with because I don't care, really. I don't like someone's upset or someone's misinterpreting. But I do recognize that those thoughts are still there. And because I recognize those thoughts are still there and those thoughts relate to the issues that I have discovered around being my sister's brother, what I do is just commit it to my mind and just say, that's interesting. Like I'm feeling this. Where's that coming from? Rather than getting caught up in the emotion, I observe the emotion. So that's something that I would say got brought up last night that I'm sort of processing. Not that I was in trouble for anything, not that there was anything wrong with anything that I did or anything like that, but here I am allowing myself the space to be aware of it. And so the title of this number 50 is Awareness of Death. So I didn't really have a baseline. If I were to think about, well, what's going on in my life, that happened. And that's something that's not, I wouldn't say weighing on me, but is something that I am aware of. So let's read this from that place and see what it has for me. Every being is entrusted with life for a time. However, it is only a prelude to death. You know, that tells me just don't take shit too seriously, right? Just that line alone. Usually I like to read the whole thing, but there's always lots of stuff to take apart. So I'm just gonna take a pause here and just tell me that's a line. Every being is entrusted with life for a time. However, it's only a prelude to death. It's like your life is leading you towards death. The idea that you take your life so seriously, that doesn't mean you don't love what you do and take what you do within your life seriously, but you do it without those expectations. You do it without this idea of like having a legacy or whatever. It's like, no, you just do this thing. You do it to the best of your ability, but you don't take it so seriously. There is something really beautiful. Every being is entrusted with life for a time. However, it is only a prelude to death. And death is like, it's interesting because in that line, it puts death above life. Like death is the main course and life is just the appetizer. Every being is entrusted with life for a time. However, it's only a prelude to death. It's like there's that one verse of the Tao that says, life is a gift received from Tao. And, you know, just like every gift that like brought you so much joy when you received it is going to break, is going to, you know, you're entrusted with this gift. But that gift, like, it's going to end up getting thrown away sometime. Flowers, Tonka trucks or dolls or a pool or, you know, a video game system or whatever it is. Like every being is entrusted with this gift for a time. However, it's only a prelude to not having it again. You know, it's experiences when you get the gift of experience, and that's something that, we gave, like me and my ex, who was when we were together, we gave my sister and her daughter this experience of swimming with dolphins or visiting with penguins. And at either it was the zoo or the Shed Aquarium here in Chicago or whatnot. And that doing that for my sister incorporated experience gifts with every Christmas. So every Christmas now, because of that singular thing, she realized that experiences are more important than gifts because they're going to be indelible, right? They're going to be part of your life for the rest of your life. It's not just, you know, I'm not going to give you a new iPhone, which you're going to have to replace. And it's all so temporary. You know, every being is entrusted with life for a time. However, it is only a prelude to death. And that may seem, you know, gruesome to some people. It may seem like, oh, I don't want to think about that. But it really takes the pressure off you to live, right? To live a certain kind of life. It is like, you know, I remember when I had to work like 9 to 5, like Monday through Friday kind of thing. The weekend. I mean, I never really had to do that, but there were a couple jobs that I've had that I did that. And, it'd be like, oh, now I get the weekend to rest. And it's like, what? Why is it you need to rest? Like, why are you giving so much to your job that it's taking so much from you that you need to rest on the weekends? And you process that. And then eventually, I worked at this job for 2 years, and then I said, okay, that's it. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep giving myself to this, and it was very much, okay, I'm going to save all this money because that's what I'm here for. And then I'm going to leave and I'm going to do my projects. Right. And the project, I was going to do a documentary. That's one thing I saved money for. Another thing is to do what I'm doing now, like do my recover yourself stuff, do my portrait work, do all of this. And so it all just turns out that here I am doing what I do. You're entrusted with life for a time. What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that gift of life that you have? It's not a big deal about what you do with it. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on yourself, but you've been entrusted with this life, and it's short, right? It's not like you got all this time, and that doesn't mean that you have to fill it with stuff. It just means you have to respect it as the life that you have. So every being is entrusted with life for a time. However, it's only a prelude to death. Now we have the next lines lay out how some people live life. Some live as optimists, embracing life. Others live as pessimists, embracing death. Some even live in preservation, passively living, advancing towards death. Okay, here are some ways that you can live. So you can live in a way that embraces life. You can live in a way that embraces death, like, doom and gloom. And you can live passively. So you just sort of advance towards death without really asserting anything. Now, this is how normal people live, right? They say, okay, I'm going to make the most out of my life by going out and doing all these things, okay? Or I'm going to live as a pessimist and I'm going to embrace death. I'm going to be, like Debbie Downer everywhere I go. I mean, this is like, these are opposites, right? Just like when we talk about like people that are, yes, optimists and pessimists, but then there's also the other two, like people that, get energy, introverts and extroverts. You get people that do and so this embraces the opposites. There's some who live on one side, some who live on the other, and some who don't choose a side and then just let things happen, let things, unfold. And I don't think any of those people are the master. However, the master now gets spoken about. This is kind of a cycle. This is a way the Tao sometimes lays things out, lays down a fact, lays down some things that people that are not masters express, tells you how the master would deal with it, and then wraps it up with some insight. So then we get to the next line, which is the master lives aware of her appointment with death. Right? And living as a pessimist isn't necessarily living aware of your appointment with death. It just lives embracing death, embracing the doom and gloom of life going on around you. This brings her to knowing real life, right? It's not in how she lives. It's not in her living as an optimist or a pessimist or living in preservation. That's not teaching her anything, but living aware of her appointment with death, right? Going back to the first line, every being is entrusted with life for a time. However, it is only a prelude to death. You're aware of you're aware of the importance death has in your life, even though it's only one instant. It's interesting, like, death is one of those things where it's kind of always in front of you or behind you. There are moments where you're dying, but that moment, like, that's a split second. It's kind of like, I remember when I was younger, I was getting clean. I was getting clean, sober, and stuff like that. And I was drinking a lot of coffee because I needed something. And I got mad at my girlfriend at the time, and I slammed a door. But when I slammed it, I didn't hold I held the side of the door. It was a solid wooden door. And when I slammed it, I didn't get the tip of my finger out of the door jamb in time, and it crushed and left part of my finger in the other room. And the door popped open, and I shook my hand because it hurt. And then I looked at it, and like my nail and like the tip of my finger was just hanging off by a piece of skin. And it's like, there was a moment before it and a moment after it. That single moment of the pain, right, of it happening, that's the moment it happened. But I wasn't even able to be present to it because it was such a moment. It was less than half a second that happened, right? It just happened. And then I was on the other side of it. That reminded me about the healing from that. I went through a lot of Tao stuff because I was reminded that that split second can change my life completely, forever. And death is like that, right? It's like you're living and you're aware of what's going on around, and then you're dead, and that's it. Like like, yes, you could go through like years and years and years of dying, but it's a line kind of in the sand. It's like you are now on the other side. And when you can live your life knowing that that's coming, just like I was able to experience this thing where it was like, oh, I changed my life forever because, and even though they sewed my finger back on and stuff, my nail is never going to grow back the same and stuff like that. And it's this constant reminder that I am, I had that experience. Same with my self-harm. There's scars and other things like that there was a moment where it wasn't there, and now it's going to be there for the rest of my life. And when you can look at those moments that you had that, right? And those moments are things that you learned in real time. It's kind of like, I've heard stories of people say, oh, when we made love, like with each other, like I knew at that point I was going to be pregnant, or I was pregnant, or whatever. It's just like, you now know. You are now on the other side of knowing. It's very similar to life, where it's like when you live with your knowing of your appointment with death, when you live knowing that you're going to die, you get to live your life from this different vantage point. And then it says, she cannot be harmed by rhinoceros or man. Her movements flow from her being. She cannot be fooled by illusion or hallucination. Her actions flow from her being. Why? Because she understands that life is going to end. And she doesn't take it so, it's not a surprise to her. She doesn't have to live in fear. And she knows what the truth is. She's not searching anything. The illusion or hallucination is like living your life with expectation, living your life wanting something out of it, rather than just it being a precious thing right here. She has freed herself of all separation, even the distinction between life and death. Kevin says hello, and I did see Lois out there, but she dropped down, and I don't know. Lois, love you. Would love to chat if you're around. I saw you. I just want to kind of get through that number 50. How are you, dear? It's so good to see you.
Hey, Martin John. I'm good. I'm actually really good.
I'm glad.
But I'm good.
Are you still in the hotel?
Yeah.
Oh man, you're hanging in
Surprisingly,
there.
I'm good. Dude. What else can I do? Nothing.
That's right.
Well,
Nothing.
you know what? I could do a whole lot of other stuff. There are other options, but this is the best option.
And this is
The
the
way
one
I'm
that you
seeing it
right.
is the best option, and this is where I'm at. This is the reality that I chose for now. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Right now, I'm trying to figure out what do I want. Do I want them to total the house? Do I want them to fix the house? What do I want? And that's where I've been this past couple of days, just last week.
Well, what's going on with the
house
that's even a question?
They when they dismantled for the damage, they took it say half the flooring. It's two bathrooms and the kitchen and the laundry room, and then a third of the walls are cut off from the bottom, and some of the walls have to be completely replaced that they took out. And when they took out the sink, they didn't take them out in the good, so they got some of the sink. It's a lot, Martin John.
Oh man.
Nobody in my family wants to even go in there and see it because they want to remember it like it was. That's how bad it is.
Oh, Jesus.
So I've been minimizing because it is minimal to me because no matter where I go, I'm home. Okay. Yeah. But this now it's like, oh, no, I'm not finna fight with y'all. If y'all want to total, y'all total. If y'all want to fix, y'all fix. I'll let you and the contractor, y'all deal with it. I'm not finna stress behind this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at right now. But at this stage, I was given a message yesterday that I must decide what I want. I must decide, do I want to stay in the house or do I want to decide I want to go? And I just want the best possible outcome for me, whether it's leaving it, whether it's let them fix it and sell it. So I thought the best possible outcome, they go ahead and fix it and I sell it and I still leave.
Yeah.
Because they gave me the option. I mean, they didn't give me the option. They said they might decide they might want to not fix it. And that kind of gave me a piece of freedom for a little bit there. So I think I like that idea, that freedom, but I want to sell it on my own terms. I don't want to sell it because it got damaged and they don't want to fix it. So I'd rather them go ahead. This is the best possible outcome. They fix it and I sell it for top dollar.
Now they've been in this motherfucking house for fucking months.
It's 3 months now. It's almost 3 months now.
And they've just been like,
it's on freeze. It's on a freeze. It's hurry up and wait. They hurried up and got in there and tore it up, and now it's a waiting game. And I was told that it would probably be a waiting game, but now I've been told that they may not fix it. They may decide to buy.
Who is this?
Pay out the claim. The insurance company. What are you talking about, they?
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah.
The insurance company has this. The insurance company decided that the amount of damage based on the paper, not coming to see the house, not seeing how gutted it is, was only worth a fraction, 1/5 of what the actual repairs would cost.
Right.
Okay, so the contractor came in and said, they did this on paper. They did not look at this damage. They did not come in here. They did not walk through. And so he said, I'm going to write it up the correct way. And when he put it in, they said they got to send somebody else. So they're going to send a person out this week sometime to go over this stuff with the contractor to ensure that this is what it needs. So right. I'm not really, like I said, best possible scenario.
Yeah, if your house is worth, if your house is worth $300,000 and they got to put $900,000 into it to fix it, they're like, well, let's just pull it down and give you what it's worth. Like, hey,
and give you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Mark John, I'm okay either way they go. I'm ready for it to be finished.
I
You
know. Yeah.
understand?
It's
I'm
just
just ready for it to be finished. So I can feel the little stuff creeping up in me, and I'm like, So yet last night I put I'm saying I put myself on blast. So I
yeah.
blast all my stuff into me that I know. I read over stuff that I know about whatever, and I have to figure out. I was told I need to make a decision. So my decision is I want them to fix it,
Yeah.
okay, and then I'm gonna sell it because I still want to. I want to let go. At now, I'm at the place where
Yeah.
I want to let go because I don't want to be held down. Now that leaves me in nothing, not even in a precarious situation. That just leaves me open. Okay, but I will be housed. I have 2 kids with houses. So it's
Yes.
not like
That's right. You're in a
it
hurry.
ain't
Yeah.
like
No,
I'm
you're gonna be all right.
unhoused.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Right.
that's what I said. It's this no, no, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I'm doing. This is what's happening, and I'm up early this morning because I was getting ready to take Tokyo for a walk, and then you said Lois, and I was like, oh shoot. So she's
No,
laying.
I'm calling you out.
She's still asleep. No, she's still asleep. I like to
Oh, okay.
get her out there to the potty before whatever because it's like 4
Before she
something
gets an opportunity.
before she gets out to me to stand by the door, and then I got to rushing running down. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I
I
know.
like to
Like
take her
I know
before
what
she.
it's like holding. I know what it's like to hold it. Like it is
So
not
I'd rather,
comfortable.
yes, and she hasn't been out since we went to bed around 10 last night.
No,
So it's about time for her to go out. But yeah, I saw you and I was like, oh my
yeah,
John,
I'm
and I
so
saw,
glad.
oh
Yeah,
Cecilia, and I was like, okay,
yeah, I
I
noticed
just
that.
talked to
Yeah,
Cecilia yesterday, so I hadn't
she's
talked
in
to you.
England now. I think
Yeah, yeah, she
that's so
sure is.
good.
She sure
That's
is.
awesome,
She has the courage to just go. And I so
man.
much
She did.
admire that, to
Yeah,
let go of
not
anything
gonna
that's
hold her
holding her
back.
down. That's right. That's right. That's what, like I said, for me, that is, I don't want ties that bind me and restrict me and whatever. Yes, I wanted this home. I asked for this home. I was blessed with this
Hmm.
home. And now I've had it and I know what it's like to live in a house all by myself and everything. And I don't think it's overrated.
You do think it's overrated, or you don't?
A little bit. It's overrated. It's
Oh yeah,
overrated.
yeah.
I can be in the house with somebody else and close my door.
That's right.
Okay. And not have to worry about all this extraness. Okay. I
Well,
mean, I'm
I
serious.
and over the last 6 months, just earlier this month, my roommate, who was a friend of mine, Robin, who was working like 40 minutes from my house, and she was like, "Hey, can I live with you?" And just for like, she was like, "Can I live with you for the summer?" And I was just like,
Hmm.
"Sure, absolutely." And when she got in, I was just like, "So when do you think you're leaving?" And she was like, "In 6 months." And I was like, "Oh." When you were saying summer, I thought it was going to be 3. And she was like, "Is that too much?" And I was like, "No, not at all." And it's interesting you say that because in repairing my house, I don't have a door, and I have a big wide opening to the kitchen, to my
Hmm.
room. So,
Okay.
even with that, like I was okay with living with somebody, and it was really beautiful. It was really great. But I'm also really glad that I can live alone at this point. And in 6 months, she might be coming back. So it's like, I got it all. I literally have
And
every
that's how I
experience
saw
here.
that. That's how I saw that
Yeah.
because when Cecilia was with me, I wouldn't let nobody with me at first. I mean, I'm being straight up 3 years. I'm like, nope, nobody.
Right.
Can I rent your room, Lois, please? I want to live with you. Nope. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
I wanted it by myself. So,
Yeah.
finally, but now that I've had the opportunity of just taking care of just me and the dog, I kind of like that, only having that responsibility and, with the house and stuff. But I wasn't caring too much about having the whole house as a responsibility and the 2 cars and the motorcycle.
Right?
Okay. And the insurance and the insurance and the insurance. And okay. So car got sold, motorcycle still with me. It's still other cars still with me. Now it's like, do I want to keep paying? No, I don't think I want to. I don't.
Right.
I want my money in my pocket so that I can travel. So that's
Yeah.
why I said the best possible scenario. Let me fix the house. Let them fix the house and do what they got to do. And then now that they'll have a newly mounted kitchen and bathrooms and the way I stage it, hey, it'll sell for top dollar.
That's right.
And
It's
Tokyo's
all a
at
gift.
the end. And I hate to say this though, but my baby's at the end of her mission here.
Yeah.
And I have literally, I've had to sit here in this hotel room and had to visualize myself without her being with me, and
Hmm.
and start letting go, because she did get sick just before we had to go through all this, and
Yeah.
she's still limping and stuff because of the old age in her hips. And so, it's like, I'm ready. But look, whatever is for me, I'm ready for it and I'm open for it. But the only thing I don't like right now, and this is not really a complaint,
Right.
is that the convenience, you know, it's the
Yeah.
convenience of everything. The dog watching herself. I don't have to get up 5, 6 times a day to walk her way to hell. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
When you're in a hotel, it's like, oh my goodness. All right, it's time for the dog. But like I said, I acclimated, but that's the only thing that's, yeah. But
That,
I kind of like living with people. I think I do like living with people because I lived with people in my life. It was only 3 years. It was 3.5 years that I stayed by myself. So,
yeah. And
but I
like this
needed
is
it.
what this is really kind of, like looking at, and that this is how I view all of this, is just like,
Mhm.
you do what you do at this moment. Like,
Mhm.
there was a moment you
Mhm.
didn't want to live with people. Now it's okay. And there might be a time where you're living with some bitches and you're like, no, I gotta get this, I gotta get this shit fucking, and then you're going to
Yeah.
want to be alone again. And then it's like, and then you got your pet, and then you might not have your pet. And then you have your fucking,
Okay.
like, and like, me, I got this house, I got this back house, I got this land, I got all this stuff. And it's like, I could put it in my mind that this is it and I'm not going to
Mhm.
move and da da da, or I can just be like, here's where I am at this moment, and that's it.
And that's where I'm at. Here is where
Yeah.
I am at this moment. I have this stuff, all this stuff at this moment. But anytime it starts to interfere with my vibration, okay, I'm gonna be
Oh,
real. That's that gotta go. It got to
that's
go.
right.
No matter
Absolutely.
whether it's another person, whether it's whatever. If it starts affecting my ability to be me, to be the authentic me, it gotta go. Okay,
I
and
was
this.
go on.
Go ahead.
Well,
No, go ahead.
I was talking to a therapist that I had once, and then he was like, "Well, what would you do if you got in a job that you relied on?" I was like, "Well, I would hope that I'd have enough sense to quit just because of that."
Amen. Okay,
You know?
see, you look, hey, Marjan, if I can create a whole career because I wanted my health. Okay, my sister said, when you quit your career, Lois, I thought you were the craziest person in the world. You worked your ass off for all those degrees, and you
Mm-hmm.
built your career and a name and this, and then you
Mm-hmm.
just, you got sick and you just said, fuck it all.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to
Absolutely. No
curse.
tear. No, no, no.
But I did. I said F it all. And my main focus for the past, since 2008, has been my health. And now I got 100% health. I didn't own, look, I came from the bottom. Now I'm here.
Telling
Okay.
you.
Now I got to decide, do I want to stay here or do I want to drop this and keep on going up? And I'm ready to drop it and keep on moving.
One person once told me, like, when you need something to get out of orbit of the planet that you've created around yourself, right? Like, so, like,
Yes.
let's, we look at, I look at this from the standpoint of AA. You use AA to get out of the orbit of the planet of addiction that you're in. You
Right.
use that. The problem happens, the problem comes in when AA is that rocket booster that you used to release yourself from, get out of orbit, to get out of the atmosphere of addiction. You used AA as a rocket booster, but once you get out into open space, you got to drop that rocket booster. It's going to pull you back in. Or you're going to sit there
Boy,
and you're going to orbit the planet addiction forever because you're carrying this dead weight. It's not going to do you any good anymore.
because you claimed it. It's yours because you
Right.
claimed it. And it's like, oh, I don't think so. And that's how I felt about disease.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't claim that crap no more. Now, yeah, I have little stuff come in and visit me every now and then.
That's
And
all
then I
right.
ask,
It's nice to have a visitor.
what's the spiritual meaning of my knee hurting right now? What's the
Right.
spiritual meaning of my of me I done banged my toe 3 times. What is the spiritual meaning of that?
What?
And yeah,
That's
you
right.
know what I'm
There's
saying?
definitely energy around that shit.
There's energy around it. Okay, why do I keep hearing fire alarms that lead to nothing? You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Mm,
dang, these smoke alarms keep going up everywhere I go. The smoke battery die. What the hell that
yeah.
mean? You know, and when you start asking these questions, I just realized there's so much that I thought I needed that I don't need.
That's right. It's all dead weight. And you just dropped off, so please come back up. And Julie will get to you. And I mean, I know you're patient. Love you.
Sorry, I love you guys. I just haven't talked to Martin John in a long time.
Oh, yeah. I'm so glad. I've been thinking about you.
Let me pick a number. Let's go with 43. I don't know why, but
That's all right. Ain't no why. We don't need to know why. Oh, be silent and learn. And this is, because I was hoping we would be able to talk about, like the house and stuff. Let's see what this has to say. The flexible will outlast the rigid. The gentle will outlast the hard. Tao, which has no structure, has penetrated all, even that which has no space to enter. Through this, I see that unforced action and silence are the only path to completeness. Actions free of expectation and desire. This is the lesson of the nature of things. Listen to your nature. Be silent and learn.
Amen. And that's what I had to go into yesterday because I told you I felt it moving me a certain way because somebody asked me about it again. And I saw the picture in my mind of the house where in the state it is in now. But at this point, because of yesterday, I'm seeing the house in the state of a full repair, not as is, but as I desire it to be. But I had to get real quiet with myself. I didn't go to my daughter's house this weekend. Now today I got to go to somebody's house to do my talk at 11. But I didn't go. Usually I was going to stay in the Spirit in the weekend with Nisi and Sharente, a day at Sharente's and 2 days at Nisi's, so that I didn't have the effect of all this stuff. But I was told this weekend, no, I'm staying home. I'm going to go dancing on Friday, but I'm going to put the dog in the kennel and be back in a few hours. She'll be fine. And I didn't go anywhere yesterday. I closed myself off and began getting quiet in contemplation, and then began listening to some things that will give me the inspiration to get back deeper, where I would get deep again, so that I could see what's holding me up. And I wasn't making a decision.
Right.
I didn't know whether to keep it, stay or go. So
right.
And right now I'm at the place where I'm no strings, no binds. If it's time to go, it's time to go. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to resist it. I'm not going to argue with it. I'm going to be quiet, pack my little stuff and go. Not with my head tail tucked between my legs. No,
That's not. Yeah, you're not going to submit yourself to any abuse of the universe. You're gonna surrender to what is being required of you
right now, in this moment. That's right. And that was what I was doing. I was getting out of the moment, and that's why I had to shut myself off yesterday. And it's funny that this thing said silence, and because I shut it down yesterday. I was like, no. I didn't talk to nobody. I didn't answer the freaking phone. I didn't do nothing. Mom, why are you not answering your phone? Well, I just need some time.
I know. Like, like sometimes when I put my phone on airplane mode, there are people who I'm like, I better let them know. And then I'm like, fuck this. I'm just because that's just more work. Get it up here. I got to get this fucking thing. I need this time now. Not in 10 minutes when I've contacted everyone that might contact me and be like, oh my God, I'm worried about Martin because it went straight. Well, then it's fine.
Right.
If something's going on.
So this was apropos. I'm going to say this was apropos, just getting quiet and doing what I've been doing. That's why I said I was up early this morning, because I'm like, okay, I was in a lot of meditation yesterday and contemplation and all that other kind of stuff, and decided that, decided that I'm no longer a seeker. I didn't even realize I was still doing that. But I didn't
Right.
realize I am not a seeker. I have everything that I need. And I
That's
didn't
right.
realize that I was still seeking until I was, what do you want? Lois, what do you want? That's what I was told yesterday. What
Yeah.
do you want? Okay. I like my freedom and I want my freedom. If releasing the house means more freedom, then I release the doggone house. I don't, I'm at that place where, look, I don't care what people think. Oh, you're going to give away your whole house. You're going to get rid of your house. I don't care what nobody thinks. Lois wants freedom. And I
Yeah.
like the fact that I can, I don't like staying in a hotel. I like staying at people's houses better. But
Yeah.
I know that, that the freedom that I seek, I don't want to feel like I'm burdened by anything where my back starts hurting because
That's
during
right.
part of this process, my back started hurting again.
I
And I
bet.
was like, hell, my back
You're
hasn't hurt
carrying you're
in
carrying all
10
this weight.
years. A
Yeah.
house, a whole
That's
fucking house
yeah.
on my, excuse me, a whole house
Yeah.
on my back. No, I'm not
That's right.
carrying it. I'm not carrying it and it ain't carrying me and it's not, and my outer circumstances is not going to control my inner world.
Mm-mm.
And that's what again, I have to keep reminding myself of this every time the topic of it comes up and I feel some type of way. And then
Right.
necessarily, oh, I'm mad, oh, I'm angry, I'm this.
No.
No, if I feel even
Any
perturbed a
type of
little bit,
way.
like bothered, just a little bothered.
Yeah.
No, let's adjust that. No, everything is still good. But yeah, I love you, Martin John, and I'm gonna get off of
Mm.
here so everybody else can come up and talk to you because I've been talking to you for a while, but I hadn't talked
No,
to you in
it's
a
all
minute.
right.
Maybe we need to talk
Offline. Yeah. I
offline so
love
that
you,
we can
sweetie.
actually have a
We'll
deep
catch up.
conversation like we used to have back in the
Yeah.
day. But I love you, man, and I will
I
talk
love
to
you.
you later. All
All
right,
right.
bye bye.
Sounds good. It's always great to catch up with Lois. And just to, Lois and I have been buddies for 3 years now. Just to, and same with my next guest, Julie. And just to be along for the ride with all of these amazing people and to have them along for the ride of my life has just been such a gift. How you doing, Julie?
I'd agree with that. Isn't it awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to hear from Lois. I've known from Lois for a while, and she gives me a feeling. She gives me a feeling of kind of like a bright spark for my day.
Yeah.
I love listening to her because she kind of combines like the little gifts that she drops off for us in the experiences that she's had. I just think she's awesome. I really love that lady. I really love her. And I've sent that to her as well to say that. Yeah, she is just great. And she's also really, with luck, she's been instrumental in me finding some of the gifts inside myself as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to really kind of encapsulate what a handful of people that come from the Wisdom app and are continuing in Noom and all of this and have how instrumental they've all been.
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking this morning about the receiving thing. Now, I always thought that I was really good at receiving things. I always thought, I can see when someone's giving me kindness. I can see when somebody's giving me kind of less than kindness. Do you know, I can see all of this, I thought to myself. Right. Oh, was I wrong? I was so wrong because I'll tell you what, over the weekend, I'd been to stay with my sister. The initial thoughts that I had was, I'll go and see her because I know she loves me, right? And she really does.
Oh,
but I had no idea. Yeah. I had no idea of. I always felt that she overloved me. It was a little bit suffocating, you might say.
Yeah.
Why does she do that? I can handle it. I thought I can handle this. I can just, keep her a certain kind of. I can take so much in and then leave there. I thought to myself. Mm-hmm. But after, the experiences that I've had and going to her house in the first place was just a steer that it wasn't the intent to be there for so long. And, It's very strange how things happen.
Yeah.
Because we have no... I mean, people always kind of look for control, I think, about things. But I think when you look for control in things is when you miss the nuances. You kind of miss the subtle, don't you?
Yeah, because you're looking for control of the big picture, but it's the big picture is made up of all these little pictures, and it's like literally not having cereal in the cupboard can change your entire day.
Yeah. Talking about cereal, I have had some this morning. God, I'm good you. I'm in Brad's brother's house at the moment, and I've been chatting to Cecilia. I've got myself a little packet of Weetabix. I don't know if you know what those are.
Yeah.
I put a banana with it. I used full cream milk because I know what my body needs. It needs,
and it's delicious.
Yeah, that as well.
Yeah, like who cares what your body needs? Something's that good.
Exactly, yeah. It's going in, I'm telling you. So I'm sitting there with the cereals and I'm eating all of that, and it's really kind of filling me up and making me feel ready for the day at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, mind you. But never mind, we won't talk about that. But with the sister thing, is I'd managed to get more days with her than I'd originally planned because I'd accepted. I had said, yes, I'm going to allow you the chance to interact with me in the way that you feel best. And we had lots of long conversations. And for the first time in my lifetime, I hadn't put up barriers and things like that, or put my own influence on how I see the world. I dropped it and allowed her to be who she was. And I really understood then where all this love come from. And when I could do that, I could really fully receive this friggin' tsunami of love that had been waiting for me to be in the moment to receive it.
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful. It was so lovely. And she has definitely made a huge impact on me over that weekend, which wouldn't have happened if my other sister, who I'd already decided was going to put me up, because she loved me and she was going to, I had expectations of her, really. Yeah. And she said no. And I thought, wow, that was something I was not expecting. I try to pride myself on being able to, when I ask, take no sometimes.
Right, yeah.
Well, and work with that. Well, I did work with it. First of all, I got really angry with her. I wanted to punch her full on in the face and say, it was your house or the streets, which was actually the case. In my mind, right, Martin? Yeah. In my mind, that's what's going on. Obviously, my sister wouldn't throw me out on the street, the one I was with at the time. But that's not the point. For me, that was me then imposing on my other sister because the other one, do you know what I mean? So I didn't want that because we'd had such a good time. Anyway, I wanted to punch her in the face. I wanted to send her a message and to tell her what the fucking hell, spiteful kid. So I mean, I was really angry. And then I just sat with it for a minute. And my sister's going, are you going to text her? I don't know. You're going to text her? No. I waited till the next day.
Yeah.
Because I had to deal with what I was feeling and find out where that was from. Yeah. And I found that was from expectation, basically.
Yeah, it's your shit.
Yeah. Nothing to do with my sister saying yes or no. It was what I thought was going to happen. And I had to take it. Right. Take that. A good swift kick in the fanny. All right?
Yeah.
So I took it, I rang her up, and then I said this. How are you? That's what I said.
Good on you.
Yeah, that was very important because she might have said no. She might have said no for a variety of reasons that I haven't even thought about.
Yeah.
How about just sitting back for a minute and saying, how are you?
It's not about you.
Exactly. Yeah, so anyway, I did that. And then, she said, sorry. And I didn't say anything. And then she said, I love you. And then I didn't say anything either because I was still a bit angry. I had to deal with that. I love her, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah, I just left her with that. So that's yours. That's not mine. That's yours.
Right. Yeah.
I've created an experience for us both. I'm handling my bit. That bit's for you. But,
I'm going to ask you for a number now.
Yes, I'm going to go for number 7.
Number 7.
Yeah.
All right, off we go. Number 7. The wisdom of not having preference.
Oh, how good is this, Martin John?
Tao is infinite. It doesn't grow old or tired. Because it has no preference for itself, it can always persist.
Yeah.
The master puts herself last, always finds herself first. By being detached from preference, she can give herself to what is and find fulfillment there.
Yeah.
So, obviously this is related to what you were dealing with. And what I love about this one is that what's not spoken. And other verses talk about what is not spoken in this verse. And as I continue to wrap my mind and my being around what is the Tao Te Ching and what it's saying, it constantly surprises me. I'm constantly in awe at how it is expressed. And by my reading my own translation and by my having arrived at my own translation, all of that, it's even more ingrained in me. And I see things that I can't explain. But in this verse, Tao is infinite. It doesn't grow old or tired. Because it has no preference for itself, it can always persist. That is pretty self-explanatory. The more preference you have, the more energy you use or waste on things that aren't, like you investing all of this energy or your sister investing all of this energy in the feelings around being hard done by in one way or another. Because you had a preference, you had an expectation.
I certainly did, yeah. What's so lovely about it, as you're reading it, and actually at the time of all this occurring, Tao and Martin John was very, because you read it and we work through it together, it's kind of a tool in my box. Mm-hmm. So when this is happening, this moment of anger where I want to punch my sister in the face, I'm using the knowledge that I've been given, the ideas that are out there, and the fact that my vision is so narrow at that point, to remember and understand that I need to take the blinkers away from it. Mm-hmm. And then when I did that, when I took the blinkers away from where I was focusing and expecting, all these other wonderful things occurred. For the first time in my life, my sister's 62 and I'm 57, for the first time in my life, I could really and honestly see her for the very first time. How lovely is that? That wouldn't have occurred if my expectation, and I'd wasted that energy and driven that home and made my sister put me up. I could have made her, I could have said, look, like I said to you, it's you or the streets. I could have done all of that. But I realised with Tao that we are held anyway, that the experience is going to unfold the way that it will, because that's what it is. It's in everything. So then, first of all, I get to have a wonderful time with my sister and her family, the oldest one. Mm-hmm. I get to allow my other sister to be who she is and find her own discoveries. I get to love her as well. Mm-hmm. And I get to allow then Brad to make connection with his brother and put his brother in the position. Brad's brother gets to be allowed to offer his place to be. We get to be allowed to experience Brad's brother and his loveliness, which is, lucky, really. Mm-hmm. But all of that luck and all of that unluck, it's all the same.
It's all the same.
all of this has opened up through the point of me letting go of expectations. Stop it, Julie. Really?
Yeah.
What makes me think I'm so powerful? Really?
Right. And as this continues, it says the master puts herself last and always finds herself first. Now, there's a beautiful thing in there where it's like when you put yourself last, as you did, your anger wasn't the important thing to communicate.
No.
What was important to communicate is that you are open to have a connection.
Yeah.
And even though you're and an experience, but like even though it was known that you had, it was obvious that you were upset, and she could be also.
Yeah.
By being detached from preference, she can give herself to what is.
That's right.
And find fulfillment there. You're not trying to get your sister to make it right.
No.
And your sister, maybe she wants you to make it right. But that's not your responsibility.
No.
And you can find fulfillment in that interaction.
Yeah.
And it could, and that's where, like, I like this line, the master puts herself last and always finds herself first. If you find yourself first all the time, you're going to have a preference to be there eventually.
Yes.
And so you're going to have to get put back in your place at some point and learn once again how to put yourself last.
That's right. Yeah. It's a lovely, humbling experience.
It is.
It really, it's a humbling experience that provides me with a lot of peace, actually.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Because because you're through this, you're able to love yourself deeper, which means you can love others deeper.
Yeah. Yeah, there was the learning.
That's right. Absolutely.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you, dear. Mojo. Thanks for waking up early, Mojo. How are you, my friend? It's been a while since I've seen you on this. So how's it going?
Martin John, what a pleasure. I normally am not up or coherent at this hour.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I know that you're out there on the east. Or
on
the
west coast. Right? Yeah. So my body woke me up to relieve itself, and I checked my phone for messages, and I saw that you were on, and I thought, it's been too long. I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah,
so here I am.
Oh, good. I'm glad. How's your life unfolding?
Well, right now it's unfolding absolutely at a exponential pace, and it is extraordinary.
Yeah, beautiful, wonderful. I'm glad to hear. We're in a deep transitional time, and I think receiving is going to be a big thing. Receiving.
I receive that. Yeah, I resonate with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and everyone's going to be experiencing and needing to receive their own special things, and for you to step into this, because you're right. It's things are shifting very quickly, very quickly. Things. It's almost like just last week was years ago.
Exactly right.
You can't, like, things are subtly changing so conspicuously. It's almost like you need that stillness just to be able to keep track.
Yeah, for me, subtle is no longer part of the equation. It is.
Yeah.
It's an elephant now.
It's
a very, very fast, beautiful elephant dancing on the head of a pin. It's extraordinary.
Yeah, I've been one of the things I've been saying recently is life is easy, and and that's not something that is just lip service. Like, I've been saying this for a couple of years. It's like life is easy, and I'm looking around and I'm like, there's nothing difficult about this. It's just like it's like, yes, there are challenges and stuff, but it's easy. It's like everything is provided in a way that. Yeah, go on.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
No.
Just to say that the phrase for me is, life is simple but challenging. And that's it has lots of meanings to it, of course. But I think for me, I'm finding that the answers, the truth, the reality it's not complicated, but it is challenging, right? So I'm embracing that. And here's what I love. I love the fact that you've been telling yourself life is easy. And so for you, it is. Right?
Well, no, it was easy before I ever said it.
But now you recognize it, right? So life is, life is what we perceive. And so you create the world that you pay attention to.
Yeah. It was funny. I was thinking about that idea of no one ever said life was easy. I was just like, I wonder if that statement, when they first said it, when it was first said, no one ever said life was easy, was tongue in cheek, because that's all they ever said.
That's a great.
And then we got it all marred up, and somebody misunderstood it. Yep. And then they said it in a different tone, where it used to be like, hey, nobody said life was easy, right? But it's like, everybody says life is easy. So it's like, I need to stop complaining. And then, but then someone said, nobody ever said life was easy. And then some 4-year-old, furrowed his brow and said, oh, life isn't easy. And then all of a sudden, that energy just spread from that, that poor frame of reference.
Well, then they put it in a song, and the song got spread across the culture, and everybody misinterpreted it. And so now they're all thinking life isn't easy because the song said so.
Right. And that was how it was conspicuously being said, not the subtleness of the message.
Yeah. There's a famous phrase that I was taught as a kid that, hey, you could pick yourself up by your bootstraps and move on. But no one told me that's impossible. That is a tongue-in-cheek phrase that was designed by someone that was being sarcastic. You can't pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. The gravity doesn't allow you to do that. Right. And we all think that we're on our own and we're supposed to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps, when that was tongue in cheek. And so I think you're exactly right. You're exactly right, Martin John.
Yeah. Let's get a number between 1 and 81, if you recall.
11.
11. Oh, 11. Emptiness is valuable. I don't know. Is this, I have a friend, Pamela Rueda, and her last name, Rueda, is wheel in Spanish. And nice. And this one starts: spokes, tire, rim, and hub all make a wheel. Yet it is the space where the axle goes that makes it worthwhile. Clay is formed into a vessel. A vessel's form is to hold things. Thus, its form includes emptiness. A house can be built, but if it were solid, it would be useless. It is easy to see structure, but structure is there to expose the value of emptiness. I mentioned my buddy Pamela because she the other day she picked this number, and she and I never really addressed the Tao, and we were talking about it, and she picked it, and then there was this her house was getting filled, and there was all of these back and forth that she really resonated with. And so that's why I mentioned it.
Beautiful. And her last name says wheel. It's built right into the Tao.
Right.
I have to ask you, do you have these memorized at this point?
Oh, no. Okay. I mean, it's not if someone were to make a quiz, then we'd be able to measure where I was, but I don't measure it. So I know them. Like when you said 11, I knew where we were going and what.
Yeah, I could tell. I could tell you weren't looking it up. You were like, okay, I know where 11 is.
yeah, I know where 11 is, and I probably. So it's interesting. Like when you picked 11, I knew it. I knew some past experiences I've had with it, but if you were to ask me, can you recite it? It would have been hard, but I probably would have done pretty well. Again, if it was a test.
Yeah. My hunch is you would have told me the essence of it without being word for word. That's my hunch.
Right. And once I grasp onto the word, there's that memorization is probably there.
Sure.
It's probably there. Once I kind of came up with spoke, tire, rim, and hub, I can even with my eyes closed, like I can just say spokes, tire, rim, and hub all make up a wheel, but it is the space where the axle goes that makes it worthwhile, right? Like I know that, and it is in me, and it isn't me thinking, it is me speaking.
Yes.
Right. just like when this is very similar to like Bruce Lee or other individuals that like practice something like literally I've been doing this show for 3 years, 3.5 years or whatever it is. And so I've been doing this show for 3 years and talking Tao. And even though it is my translation and it's only the translation that I've had for the last 1.5 years, it's in there. Right. I know.
Yeah. I sense that, and that's why I had to ask, because as a musician, I have a similar experience when I play the same song over and over again. I sometimes go back to the crutch of, well, do I need the lyrics or do I need the chords? And there are times when I show up at some space and I don't have either. So I just go, all right, well, let's see what I got. And it all comes out. Once I get started, it all comes out.
Yeah.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah. And I think if I were to try to do this show without the Tao in front of me, without reading it, that would then become about me.
Oh yeah, right.
And that's not
well,
my.
That's beautiful awareness on your own. So that's. Yeah. So here's what comes to mind as you read that. I've been toying a lot with words. To me, words are not only magical, but they're more delicious than dessert, in my opinion. And I've been trying to figure out how to communicate my perception of words. And here's what I came up with just within the last week that ties directly into what the Tao was telling me today. And that was that words are containers into which we pour meaning. And so we recognize the form of the word, whether it's audible or whether it's written. But the word itself, which has a definition, the definition is just the container. And in the container, we pour our perception, our feeling, our interpretation, and then we hand it off to someone else, whether it's vocal or written. But what happens between my mouth and your ears is that the container empties out and all the meaning I poured into it, or most, spills out. And then I hand you the container, which you recognize the container, and then you pour all of your meaning into it. And so this is the sender-receiver challenge, is that what I say and what you hear is the same word, but it doesn't mean the same thing because you come from a completely different perspective. And so as a communicator who loves words, there's really a surrender in this process where what I'm communicating, I hand off as a gift a string of words that they're a bunch of containers, and I think they're full when I pass them off. But somewhere in the trip between my mouth and somebody's ears, it goes over the bumps and all the stuff spills out and the containers arrive. And so they understand what I'm saying, but what they feel about it, what they think about it, what they receive is all the stuff they pour into it. And that's none of my business. I have to release that and say, okay, that's not what I can control. All I can control is the containers that I give out. And what do you think about that?
Well, the Tao says the same thing. And so like let's look at this verse specifically. Okay, spokes, tire, rim, and hub all make a wheel. Consonants, vowels, and diphthongs all make a word.
Yes. Good.
Yet it is so the next line is, yet it is the space where the axle goes that makes it worthwhile. Yet it is the space between the ears of the person that you are delivering that to that makes it worthwhile.
So good.
Right. Yeah. And so clay is formed into a vessel, right? Words are formed into a sentence. That sentence's function is to explain something. Thus, its form includes multiple interpretations.
It sure does.
So like you're putting those words together to say something. Someone else is receiving them to hear something. It has nothing to do with what you're saying, because like what you're saying is all about you. What they're hearing is all about them.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
The next line here. Go on.
Hold there for a second, because the clay pot, right? So it doesn't say an iron pot, because an iron pot probably won't fall apart, but a clay pot, it's kind of fragile. So that I felt the vulnerability a part of the fact that it's a clay pot that really resonates with me as well.
Right. And, the function of a clay pot, just like the function of a sentence, is to do something very specific, is to take these words which have meaning and put them together in a way that expresses something. But each of those words have different meanings to different people, no matter how slightly different they are. And, yes. And so those sentences have to be delivered in a way that at least us as the deliverer is open to it being interpreted differently. Now, if we don't, that's control and that's expectation, and that's where people who speak and want you to understand what they're saying rather than understand what they're hearing. I have a quote that I wrote and said one day, was like, I couldn't possibly fathom what you're saying, but if I pay attention, I can understand what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Well, I love that.
And there's a big difference between what you're saying and what I'm hearing, because I'm hearing it from this perspective. So it's easy to understand struggle. Go on.
I was going to say it's inevitable. It seems profound at first, but then it seems so simple. Just to go back to the beginning of our conversation, because how could you interpret any other way? How could you hear my words any other way than through your point of view? Because that's where you stand. That's where you sit. That's the only way that you can hear what I'm saying is through your own ears, through your own mind.
And for millennia, we've been trying to convince people that there is an objective experience. And there isn't, right? And there isn't an objective experience that we can have, because everything has motive and inspiration behind it, right? So it's kind of either motive or, right? You either want to do something because of control, because you have an expectation, you want an outcome, or you do that through inspiration where that's guided, right? And those two could be the same thing, right? It's just internal or external inspiration. And once again, this all comes from the same thing, because there is nothing, right? So, right. Oh, yeah, you dropped off. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I really appreciate you coming up, and it was great to reconnect. I'm going to go ahead and finish reading all through this. A house can be built, but if it were solid, it'd be useless. You can create this sentence, but if you controlled that sentence and wanted it to be heard in a certain way and it would be useless, because you putting a sentence out in the world and allowing other people to hear it and interpret it for their growth, interpret it on their own. That's when you really get yourself into a place where you get to speak from Tao, right? Because now, like when I speak from Tao, you hear from Tao. And you get to interpret that however you want without me having to control how you hear something. It is easy to see structure. It's easy to see that you're trying to tell me something, but what you're trying to tell me is only exposing the value of interpretation, right? In your by taking this verse and kind of shifting it to focus on words and communication. The structure is there to expose the value of emptiness. The structure of our sentences, the structure of what we're saying, is there to expose the value of speaking. Because now everybody can interpret everything I say from a different perspective. And they can see themselves. By me not injecting myself in everything that I say, opens you up and opens those words up for you to see yourself in what I say, without having me controlling what you hear. Thank you guys so much for joining me. This is Martin John, and this is Tao of the Day. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Central. And if you're interested in working together, if you're interested in having a conversation, you can always go to my website, martinjohn.com. You can find links to that in my profile. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend, wonderful Sunday, wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in your day. Thank you so much. And yeah, I think it might be even Monday for some people right already. So until next time, keep recovering yourself.